Hello, crafters and stampers. Welcome to my Friday Facebook Live. We're a little bit earlier than usual. I have a craft show tomorrow. If you're local, come on out to the Freeland Marketplace. You have to take River Road if you're local. The bridge is closed, but I am preparing for the craft show today. So that's why we're on a little bit earlier so I can get all the things ready that I need. Hello, if you are watching the replay on YouTube, I post all my Friday lives to YouTube. If you're watching, leave me a comment. I love hearing from all of you. So today's card is this one. Sale-A-Bration is still going strong. It is on until August 31st. We are using two products from Sale-A-Bration on this Christmas card. We are ending Christmas in July week. The first product we're using is on page 10 of the Sale-A-Bration brochure. And if you need a Sale-A-Bration brochure or a mini catalog or an annual catalog, click the link in the description of this video. I will be more than happy to send one out to you. So we're using the silver and gold 6x6 Desire Series paper. I did this one in gold, and today we're going to be making the silver version of this, but we're also using my favorite thing from Sale-A-Bration, the tree lot dies. These are on page 12 of the Sale-A-Bration brochure. And I kind of took a little bit of inspiration from that. I made a picture frame with that one. I'll have to post that later, but I love this die set. This coordinates with the Trees for Sale stamp set, which we're also using today, but this is free. These are free products with a $100 purchase. So let's get started. Like I said, we're going to be doing the silver one today. Let me just show you this Sale-A-Bration paper. It is 6x6. Obviously, I cut some up. We're going to be using silver today. It's only one-sided, but it's got this beautiful gold and silver foil in it. And these are the other sheets. We saw that one. So there are lines and there are dots, and there's gold and silver of each. It is a beautiful paper, and bonus, it is free with a $50 order. So if you'd like to get this paper, go ahead and click the Shop My Store link in the description of this video. Place a $50 order, and you can choose this paper as your Sale-A-Bration product. So I have a couple of pieces here, and I will have a blog post up on this card shortly after we're live here with all the measurements and things. So I used a very vanilla card base because I liked how that looked with the basic white, because that's basic white in there, but I layered the basic white on top for stamping. So my very vanilla card base is 8.5 by 5.5, squared at 4 1/4. I'm just going to grab my bone folder and burnish that edge so it's nice and crisp. Then we can set that to the side, but I'm going to layer my silver Sale-A-Bration paper on top of that. This is the piece we're going to be using for stamping. This is for die cutting. This is also for stamping, and a Night of Navy piece for layering. Like I said, I will have all the measurements up on my blog. Let's do our die cutting first. I need another scrap piece of basic white. Let's use this one. I've also been die cutting some deer and lights and things, so we'll use that piece. Hello, Colleen. Good afternoon or good morning for you. So we're going to be using this die here. Now this will make our silver piece, and it cuts it out into two pieces. So I'll show you what I mean when I die cut. We're also going to be using this adorable little camper. I love this camper so much. I don't know why, but I love the little campers and the little red trucks for Christmas. They're my favorite. I would probably never go in a camper, but I love how they look. I already have die cut some things, but I also used the little dog, the little puppy. Colleen liked the little puppy. I used the little flags for the window to make like little curtains. I also used the bow, or not that bow, this bow. It's tiny. I used the bow for the wreath, and then the wreath. So we're doing a little bit of die cut work today. Like I said, I've already pre-die cut some things, but I wanted to show you this little camper and how to put it together and how I got it those colors. So we're going to die cut it in basic white. And I'm getting my mini machine out. I'm going to fold it down, grab my plates. Got a number 1 plate, a number 2 cutting plate. And let's do the silver first. So I'm just putting my little piece in there. We'll run it through. And so what I meant by it cuts it into two pieces is this. I'll show you. You take off that, and now you have the top. This is the top and the bottom of that little camper. So I think that's pretty cool. I like when they do stuff like that. It makes less work for me. So now let's grab our camper and our basic white. It says there are new comments, but I can't see them. Colleen says she loves those little campers. I know, I do too. They're adorable. Like I said, I don't know that I'd ever actually get in one, but they're super cute for Christmas stuff. So there's our camper. Now that one is blue with a red door. So how did I do that? Well, I will show you. Let me put my little mini cut and emboss machine away. We are going to be using Stampin' Blends for this. So I have Night of Navy. Now these come in a combo pack. Oops, I can get them the right way. So when you get the Stampin' Blends, you get a light and a dark of that color. So I have the light and the dark Night of Navy here. We're also going to be using Real Red, and I have the light and the dark. So what I like to do is for the camper itself, I didn't use the light. I used the light Real Red and the dark Night of Navy. And if I needed to, I came back. Oh, and I also used basic black. That's right. But I only used the light basic black, not the dark, because the dark was a little too dark. So let's do the basic black first. So I'm using the brush tip, and there are two ends. There's a pen tip. There's a pen tip and a brush tip. For the black, I'm going to use the brush tip. And I know where there's these little lines here, and I know where my silver is going to cover. So let me just show you what I'm talking about. So that's where the door is. My silver is going to cover that up. So if I get in there with a little bit of this basic black, it really doesn't matter because I'm covering it up. I just don't want any white showing. So I'm kind of going around the edges a little bit too. And then I'm going to do the hitch. And like I said, that's going to be covered up. So you can be a little bit sloppy, I guess, with this. And that's it for the basic black. You could also use gray, whatever colors you have. So let's do the door first. I'm going to go ahead with the light Real Red and the brush end. And I'm kind of being careful around this frame a little bit because I am going to make it Night of Navy. The thing is Night of Navy is darker than Real Red. So see, I got a little bit down there. This is covered up, but it's okay because Night of Navy is darker. So you don't have to be as careful. I was a lot more careful with the Night of Navy. So I'm going to use the pen tip end of the dark Night of Navy, and I'm just going to go around that door, and I'm trying to be careful to not get any Night of Navy on the actual door because that's going to be really hard to cover up. And I got a little bit on the door, and it's okay. Oh, that part's getting covered up, so I don't know what I'm coloring all that for. I just don't want, when I put my silver on, for there to be any white. So now that I went around the door, I can use the brush tip end because that'll make it go faster. Still being careful though. And this looks super dark. It will dry down a bit. So it won't actually be that dark once it completely dries. And I'm doing the same thing as before. I'm kind of hitting the edges of that. And I'm going to go down here just because in case I don't perfectly place my silver, I don't want any of that white showing. I'm going to be very careful on that door. All right, I'm going to color all down there and around the sides here. Same thing up here. I just want to get that edge so that way, just in case, you know, I don't perfectly place that silver. So that's going to dry while we put on our little silver panel. So for this, I'm going to use liquid glue only because liquid glue, I love my Stampin' Seal, but liquid glue gives you a little bit of time to play with it. With the seal, pretty much once you set it down, it sticks. Liquid glue, I got a little bit of time to just kind of finagle it the way I want. And I'm just picking up some of that glue and dotting it along there because I don't want to squeeze and then have glue all over. I will say with the liquid glue, if you get any on your gold or silver, you're going to be able to see it. So if you touch the glue and then touch your silver, be sure to have a paper towel or something handy to wipe it up. And see what I mean? I got a little bit of time to finesse that and play with it a little bit before it completely sets in. I'm just going to stick a little liquid glue on here. Careful not to touch it. And for this one, I did have to pick it up and just line it up. That way, it was easier for me. There is our little camper. Now I have the curtains, a little banner cut in Night of Navy. I stamped this dog in smoky slate and then die cut it. I have our little real red bow and an old olive wreath. So I'm going to put the wreath down first. I'm just going to take that liquid glue again. I'm very gently squeezing because I do not want too much glue, and I'm just kind of dotting around. I want glue on there, but not so much that it, oozes out when I smush it down. Tweezers would be very helpful for this card, especially if your fingers don't quite work like mine tend to not sometimes. So I'm just lining it up with the circle in the door. And I think I used a glue dot on that, but that was kind of rough to work with. So I think I'm gonna, for this one, use the liquid glue again. Again, being very careful not to squeeze out too much glue and make a mess. A little too much. I'm just running it along the bottom of the bow there. There, that looks good. So now for the little banner part, I did use a glue dot. Let me grab those and my take your pick tool. And I'm just going to take a glue dot, flip this guy over. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of put this where I want it. And it is going to overhang. Don't worry, we are going to cut it. I'm just going to lift this up, stick a glue dot down, and then get one more. And then I could show you how to do the background. So this does overhang a bit, so I'm just going to take my paper snips, my scissors, chop that guy off. And then we have little curtains in there. Cute. Let me see. And now we have to do the background. Put that away. So I have my piece of basic white, and that is cut at 3 1/4, no, 4.5 by 3 1/4. That's right. So we're going to grab the Trees for Sale stamp set that goes along with the tree lot dies. And I use the medium. There's 3 sizes, a large, medium, and large tree. I use the medium and then the small. So I need this one for detail, and then this chunky one. I also need the little dog paws because I thought those are super cute. Grab some blocks. So I have a C block. Throw that on there. Actually, I'll put the solid tree on. A B block. Oh, that's too small. Use a D block and another D block, because if you're going to have multiples of any block, I recommend the D block because that's what I use the most. So I'm going to grab some Pear Pizzazz and some Old Olive, I think. that what I used? I have no idea. Pretty sure that's what I used. So I'm going to go in with the Pear Pizzazz first because that's lighter. So you're going to take your solid tree and the lighter color is what I did for this. So this one, I'm going to go like this, stamp one tree. And then I went and made like a little trail, I guess, a little path. Stamp over there. You don't want to get too far because your camper window is there and you don't want trees in the window because then it kind of, I don't know, to me it takes away the effect. I don't want to ink that up again. I want the little tree. So this time what I'm going to do is ink up in Pear Pizzazz, stamp off, and stamp there. That way it kind of makes it look like a little forest is happening. That. Do one more right there. Make it look like there's a happy little forest, like I'm Bob Ross. Colleen says camping is fun. Camping is, I would think I'm a glamper. I think I like having plumbing and running water, things like that. Now I'm going in with the old olive and my detail stamps. This is a 2-step stamp set. What that means is you are using 2 stamps to create a more detailed image. And this one is very forgiving. You can pretty much stamp that anywhere and it looks good. So now we're done with our greens. Let me grab Smoky Slate. That is what I used for the dog and for the little paws. I'm going to ink that up and make sure they're going the right way. And just put that in between the trees. Like it's a little path and they're going away. Now what I did on this one is I stamped that first so I can put my trees around it. However works for you. And so now we can take some dimensionals, pop them onto the back of our camper. Again, being mindful and aware of where your window is. You don't want dimensionals popping through the window. Peel the backs off of those. Whoop. I'll place it like that. And then I'm going to use a mini dimensional for the doggy. They're a lot smaller and a lot easier to hide. And then we have one more bit of stamping. We have to stamp our sentiment. I'll put that dog like he's jumping. So then I have a little piece of basic white. Again, all the measurements will be available after this live. And we're going to go ahead and use the Christmas greetings. I like that there's 3 sentiments in this set. All my stamps are falling off. I've used these a lot to make ornaments. If you're a part of my VIP group, I posted yesterday the Christmas ornaments I made. There will be a video up tomorrow on how I did that. So if you're interested in making Christmas ornaments, go ahead and join my VIP group. The link is in the description. So you stamp that in Night of Navy, and there is our pretty words. And now all we have to do is put our card together and add a little bling. I'm just taking my seal. I'll layer that on there. And then I'm going to take some dimensionals and pop that up. I love dimensionals as a way to add a little bit of interest to your card. Actually, I'm not going to put that on yet. I'm going to put this on first. But they're super affordable, the dimensionals. So I buy them, I think, with every time I order from Stampin' Up. I throw some dimensionals in there because I would be very sad if I ran out. I'm just going to center that onto our piece of silver. And then we can put this on our card base. And you can stamp the inside of your card. The little dog would be cute on the inside, I think. Or maybe a little tree. I didn't for this one, but you definitely could. I'm going to kind of put that trailer hitch underneath the sentiment a little bit. And then for bling, I have, they called them on my thing the red and green adhesive backed pearls, but then I think they just changed the name because now they're called the festive pearls. They're the same thing, just a different name. So on the website, they're festive pearls. I'm holding red and green adhesive backed. That's too long. So there is gold, silver, soft succulent, and Mary Cobbler. It doesn't tell me, but I think those are the colors. We're going to go ahead and use silver. I used gold, obviously, on that card. I'm going to put one on the wheel. I saw somebody do that. I don't know who, but I saw that, and I thought that was so cute. And then I'm going to put one on each side of our sentiment. And that is our card. So tell me in the comments which one you like better, the silver or gold. And every time I look at this paper, I think, that song from Silver and Gold. So I prefer the silver. Which one do you like better? Tell me in the comments. I want to thank you all for watching. I will be live again on Sunday in my VIP group. It'll be a new week. We'll be talking about new stuff. So go ahead and join that if you're not already in it. I will be at the Freeland Marketplace tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. So if you're local, come out and see me. I will be live right back here next Friday. So I want y'all to have a great weekend, and thanks so much for watching. See you next time.